Good afternoon.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this globe. I don't know how many times I'm. Krista, good to see you. Glad you're here.
Good to see you too.
Awesome. What time of day is it in your universe?
Oh, I'm in Orange County, California, so
Oh,
it's
you're like
7
me.
a.m.
This is
But today's
coffee
my
time here.
birthday, so
Wait, you're in
Hey!
Orange
Oh, happy
County also?
birthday.
thank you.
Oh, happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday. Happy birthday,
Thanks. So
Krista.
I'm starting out with this. So I just
Awesome.
enjoyed the second brain summit so much and note making mastery, and so this is a good way to start the year, if you will.
Well,
Yay.
that's so cool. Well, thanks for spending part of your birthday with us. That's cool. I was hoping that the doing the recaps and using AI to help
Yeah.
build them, flesh them out
Bye.
would provide some filler for people that don't like, because it's a lot to come to these things. But if you're still interested, I wanted to like keep doing a digest that people could like say, hey, here's like things people talked about this week, and
Yes, please.
so hopefully you've seen that and that can be available too. I'm trying to do a better job of keeping an eye on the lobby because I'm apparently bad at Zoom. So give me a second here. I got to make sure I still have that pulled up.
Okay.
Are
I've
you
spent
trying to
You're local to me? I did
I'm
not
in
know that.
I'm in Fullerton. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm in North Anaheim.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like
Probably
probably
like
like
10
a
or
mile
15
or
minutes
two from you.
away.
you guys are like next door neighbors.
I know, and I met you at the summit too. I had no idea that we lived that close together.
Small world.
There definitely needs to be like a coffee.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Awesome. I'll direct message you my info.
Yeah, cool. That is amazing.
That is amazing.
Aaron, were you able to download the photos and videos this time?
I I need to try that this morning. I had to work late last night, unfortunately, but if you resent the link,
Yeah.
thank you
For some
for that.
reason, yeah, I tried
I'll
it.
make use of that.
Right, I'm just going
Oh,
to turn my video off because I've literally just walked in from the airport, so I need to sit down, have a cup of coffee, and
oh
something to eat.
wow.
Oh, another trip.
Yeah, 24 hours in Turkey. So,
Turkey.
yeah,
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Turkey's not so far probably from you. For us, it's like that's
yeah,
pretty
it's got
good.
4 hours flight. So, not too bad.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, yeah, so I'm just going to turn my video off now whilst I have something to eat. You don't
Got
need
it.
to see.
Thanks for thanks for making it work. I think we've got some more people that are going to trickle in. I know Fist is on his way in too, but I'm looking for the lobby because if I have the side view up where it says participants, it should show it there if people go into the lobby, right?
Oh, you're talking about if they're trying to get in, but they need to be
Yeah,
accepted in?
I'm afraid I'm like leaving people in the lobby right now, and I
All right.
spend 40 hours a week in Teams. So
So
like coming over to Zoom, I'm
you can make one of us a co-host and then we can keep an eye on it for you.
yeah.
One thing I will tell you is the link to join doesn't
Huh?
take you into the meeting. So that could
Oh,
get in some people's way. Yeah, it
that's not
takes you
cool.
to a page that just has all the numbers that you can use to call into Zoom. So I used the Zoom ID that was correct so that's how I got in.
I did that too.
I'll try to fix that for next time. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, you can actually through Luma you can send another email so that you can just give them the direct link in. Um,
Ah,
let me get that for you here. Invite link, copy invite link. Yeah, you just send them this link. They'll get directly in. And I'll check the WhatsApp group, see if anybody's having any challenges there. Oh, nope,
didn't see
nobody's
anybody.
saying anything.
I just put the link that you just gave. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually if someone has trouble, they'll end up replying to the Luma email
Right,
saying,
right,
"Hey, I
right,
can't
right.
get in." So it could be nobody's having the problem, but like yeah, I clicked a couple times and I was like, "What?"
Oh, yeah. Okay, there it is. Yeah, the waiting room pops in on the participants. Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anyone. We got Denise coming in now.
Yeah, and it usually shows you something that lets you know that they're in. All right, let's see. Hey, Denise.
Morning, Denise.
Good morning.
We're this is all kind of like the waking up lounge here for a couple minutes as people trickle in, so you haven't
Yes.
missed anything yet.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely here, just well, I haven't been able to go through any of Milo's stuff, but I really like I've got to get through it. But I definitely want to listen and learn from everyone today that has had a chance. Hopefully people will join.
I'll tell you this, I haven't gotten through any of it either, and that's why I'm here, because I hope you guys did, and I'm just gonna cheat and like
Yeah,
skip
me too.
ahead by looking at all your homework. But I knew I was gonna be too busy to do it for a while, but I thought it'd be cool to like have a place to talk about it. So
Yeah.
I've been following Nick for like 2 years, so you know, like the general themes are there, but like the nitty gritty of it
Yeah.
is what I want to look at in here. And I think it's cool that we have this group here that was all at the summit, because it isn't like we're stealing out someone's material because he made this available to anyone who was at the summit. So if
Right.
we're like showing stuff from Note-Taking Mastery, everyone actually should already have legitimate access to that without it being a thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think too, like we're really advancing his, like I feel like by us having the conversation, we're really advancing like his. I mean, not like advancing it, but almost like we want to spread the word about it. So you know, if someone that we connect to outside of this and we tell them about it, I mean, maybe they'll join. So
Well, yeah, Fis and I were talking about this yesterday, and it's like I think that what's fun for me about this, and everyone here who's like been so generous with their time to like participate and show interest and energy, is like first you have like the general world of note takers, of people who like follow Tiago. I don't know how many, what's that count, Rodney? What do you think his subscription count is? Or you know, it's like hundreds of, you know, it's over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, right?
Oh, who? Nick Milo?
Or just like Tiago, like
Oh,
for
Tiago, definitely, because I was at the 100,000 subscriber party a
so
couple of
let's
years
start at
ago.
like you start at the outside of the funnel of 100,000 people that it's interesting enough that they're paying attention. And then you
Exactly.
have then you get the people that would sign up for a course, and then you got the people that would travel across the country, and then you get down to the funnel of people who, after that was over, still want to talk about it, and we would meet up online. So it's like this group here of like people who would show interest in this is kind of like a super high energy core of motivated people who want to do stuff. But that one thing that's like still missing is just kind of like the hopefully what this is that just like kind of workshop time from people who just want to do stuff. Um and so what can come out of, you know, a group of 10 or 20 people that get together like this is a much higher velocity than just any random 20 people out in the interwebs. So I'm like super glad to be hanging out with everyone here and kind of seeing what comes of it. Oh, Nikki is in the waiting room. I'm watching that now. And as soon as Fisk gets here, I'll get started with more structure. He's just getting his coffee right now. So is anyone who's on the call right now caught up or staying up with the note-taking mastery, or are most people like me where you're still kind of fiddling around with the first couple sections?
Fiddling around.
I completed it
way
yesterday.
behind.
Rodney completed it yesterday. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Paul, did you say you
All
were
right.
where he was?
Or no, Rodney was saying that he'd finished the course.
No, two
Paul-
people talked at once.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm at the beginning. I'm halfway through lesson 1 again.
Yeah.
On like day 12, day 13.
Okay. All right. So what I'd really like to do today is give the floor to people who are further along than I am with the current content of note-taking mastery, and give the floor to you as much as you feel interested or want to share what's interesting or curious or what questions you have, so we can like just use this space to try stuff. Like pull up your screen of what you're using on and then just kind of see what dialogues go there, because I think everyone here is, because we call the group Tana Code, but capture, organize, distill, express. I think that's like a core economy of learning, but I think we're all pretty interested in experimenting in the idea of network notes. So I just want to give the space to like talk about stuff from Nick Milo, and then we have enough time here for people to trickle out. We could actually try some of the stuff, ask questions about it and things like that. So that's kind of what I had in mind at the time. And if we kind of reach completion on stuff that people have here, Fis and I both have plenty of stuff to kind of carry that out that we would talk about also. But I want to save that for filler, because I'm most interested in stuff that I don't know that you do. So I think Fis is getting here. That must be a really big cup of coffee. He sent me that at 7:05. He said, "I'm getting my coffee ready right now." Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Maybe he's
when
making
he
it
gets
from
here,
scratch.
we're gonna have to. Yeah, he's like roasting. He's like got a roaster out. Everyone's gonna have to ask. When he gets here, we're gonna make him explain his coffee. Give us a high level detail explanation. Oh, he's joining right now. Oh, we've got Kwame too. Good.
Hey, Nikki's here.
All right.
Hi.
Hey,
Hello.
good morning, Nikki.
I'm towards the end, but I haven't been applying everything to like my actual life. I mean, I have been, but I'm just trying to follow along with the lessons as much as possible, and then I'll go back and do what I can to like flesh it out more.
Cool. Well, and hey, Kwame, you just made it in. Glad you're here. What time is it where you're at?
Good morning, ladies and gents. It is just after 10 here. I'm in New York,
Okay.
so yeah.
All right.
Sorry for joining a little late.
No, Fis just got here as well. We were just kind of doing our wake up routine. It's 7:15 for some of us here. Paul just flew in from Istanbul. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time my company sent me to Istanbul, I don't know. I wouldn't have any nickels, but
Not trying to sound flippant, it does get a bit boring and a bit annoying.
and Fis, I think that must be a pretty elaborate coffee. What are you
Or is it a
live yet?
beer?
No, he said he was making coffee, and that was like 12 minutes ago.
Well, he's we see him there.
Yeah, I
Here.
see him there.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear no video yet though.
Yeah, I'm just getting ready for the video, and the coffee is ready, and it indeed is elaborate.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tell us all about it. You'll start a super tag
sure.
for coffee with all the different parameters.
Let me bring the actual components if I can show you here. But go ahead, I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, well, I had another question. Who is using Canvas with Obsidian? Because I saw some stuff going on with that. And although I'm an avid Tana user, I had an Obsidian period, and I am jealous of that Canvas surface. Also TL draw. So I'm just curious if anyone is familiar with either Canvas or TL draw and how those integrate into Obsidian.
You mean Canva or actually Canvas? Because Canvas
I think
is
it's
a
called.
learning. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
there's Canva, there's Canva for authoring, but there's Canvas was it's one of the many there's like thousands of different add-ons to Obsidian, and
I
one
didn't
of
know
them
Is
was
that
Canvas-
the instructional platform?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, because I mean, I use Canvas every day for work, so they really have an integration with Canvas.
I better not start a bad rumor here, but I
No,
saw
no, no.
something
I'm
up.
I'm about to
Yeah,
Google it. I'll Google
Why
it.
don't,
yeah,
or maybe you can do a keyword search in the
yeah.
forum.
I
Are you
think it's
talking about Canvas in Obsidian?
yeah, Canvas in Obsidian, but I didn't know if that was an instructional platform. I didn't know anything from it. It just looked like their knowledge graph was integrated with some type of a whiteboard mind map.
Oh, I think this is just what they're calling it. So, it's I guess it's a part of what they're. I think it's part of one of their add-ins. So I guess in my mind,
Yeah.
I think of Canvas. Whenever I think of Canvas, honestly, it's a pain in my butt right now. But
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
anyways, yeah.
Yeah. That's it. There's there's a lot of different things out there with tools for that, but for me the holy grail is having a node-based knowledge graph like I have in Tana, but having a messy space connection. I need to scribble. You can see I've got my whiteboard over here. Went to great pains to get it, but this isn't in Tana. So I'm like, I want scribbly, messy visual stuff that is also linked in. So I know that kind of thing is coming, that once Tana goes full release, there's going to start being APIs and add-ons and things. But in the meantime, while we're still in development, I'm jealous of some of the stuff that's a little more polished. Oh, Frank is here now.
Yeah, I'm curious of the Obsidian users. I don't understand Canvas yet. Like how do you really use its functionality?
I only know that it looks pretty and it looks visually messy but still linked. So that's why it's caught my eye because it's got a use case that I want just for my own type of work. So I just thought I'd throw a jump ball out there and see if anybody knew what that was. But if not, we'll move on.
I haven't used it much, but I know more or less how it works, and it's indeed super interesting. So you can create this canvas, this map, and you can reference notes, and which are the markdown files in Obsidian. So you can create a visual representation of different notes that you have, and then you can connect them and create like links or semantic connections visually, as Aaron is showing now. And yeah, so you can add images and so forth. And I think the actual canvas is a markdown note itself. So you have the backlinks between kind of nodes inside a canvas and the canvas itself. So it's interesting. It is this knowledge graph with the canvas. It's super nice.
Yeah, because I'm always going, even when I'm using Tana in depth, I'm still scribbling, and I just want at some point, and maybe that's good that it's separate because it can be a bit of a filter, but there's some value obviously in having something like that. So what I use in the meantime, I will do the first show and tell because I had in my mind the agenda would be that we have questions about Nick Milo's note-taking mastery, things that are on our mind from those who are studying it, and then if people feel comfortable with each other, just doing show and tell on the stuff they're working, not as a talent show, but as a like, hey, here's what I'm trying, here's where I'm stuck, and that type of thing. I would just love to see everybody's workspace for those kinds of things myself. But I will lead by example, but because I don't have something like Canvas right now, I have been and Fist has been in there with me. I use Miro just because I know how it works. It isn't linked unless I individually load hyperlinks. So I just get a big canvas going and I'll use different areas for different things. This is when I do my Saturday morning Twitch channel, which I've taken a break since I'm doing this, called Saturday Idea Labs. I just pull up an area in Miro. I've got my my standby screen and I load the content that we're going to talk about with people into the middle of the board, just so like there's just like a visual space to get messy. And then I kind of load back content of things we're going to talk about rather than trying to build slides. I like the idea of just having a big messy space to kind of like make slides on the fly without ever having to format it. So each one of these are different morning sessions, that we've done that I've just saved. And then Luke, who's not on the call, was asking about the thing I use to annoy my daughter, because I was inspired by maps of content from Nick, and this is something different, but this is using AI generated, because I'm not a graphic artist, but I created a mock-up board game to help her study for her finals, which she pretended she hated, and then she kind of liked it, and then by the end she hated it. But I basically took over the weekend, we were going to have to work through all these different subjects, and she just had a big list. So I came up with, and it was all AI assisted to come up with the names, the graphics, and everything, and came up with different characters and a battle board. My daughter's name is Eleanor. And then after she finished the lessons, that she could like capture the magic cards. So this is incredibly nerdy. I know that, but I was highly amused as I was putting this together, because I didn't know it work. I didn't know what would work. So I would love it to turn into like a real coded game, but this is where my mind went without having the inner details of maps of content to make a map of content of a study weekend. So, but again, I like a space like a Miro or a whiteboard. I would love it if my content was linking back to my knowledge space. But anyway, that's what I use. I usually have Miro open in one tab and Tana open in the other, and I just have them. They're not part of each other, but I'm using them both concurrently. I've always thought that it's like, if one tool doesn't do it, just use two tools at the same time. It's why I usually like the browser versions of most of these programs, is because I can just load up the tabs and run them, rather than if they're desktop versions, then trying to use them alongside each other at the same time can be kind of goofy. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts, questions, or reactions.
I think that this is really cool. I think one of my stretch goals would be to figure out something like this for my students, because a lot of them are struggling with, because they're basically throwing these kids that have never had chemistry in this chemistry for majors class. And I think coming up with something like this to help them in their studying, because they really don't have the framework for even developing like most of them, I shouldn't say all of them, but a lot of them struggle with that. And so I think if I can learn something like this, because then I can really, I mean, there's all these things out there, but really you have to tailor things to your current students. And this probably appeal to more of my students. So I'm definitely curious.
One of the things,
my 6-month goal is to start to really learn these things.
Yeah, I think also one thought that is worth considering is, it's something I might have mentioned this last time we were all together, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but I kind of just I think I knew it, but I didn't really pay attention to it as far as cognitive styles, that I'm a visual spatial cognitive style, but to an almost extreme level, that it's like, tell me a phone number, just keep telling it to me. We could just do this all day long, but if you write it down, if you don't write it down for me, I need to see the numbers in my head, and I'll paint them in my head so I can remember them. And so for someone who's a visual spatial like me, it's beyond just being fun. It's like, I can't think unless I can see it. And not everyone's wired that way, but everyone's wired some different way. And however we set up our workspaces kind of needs to take that into account. So what I realized is like I do stuff in Tana, I do stuff on whiteboards. I've always been a whiteboard person, but I only really kind of actualized why I was doing it after I started doing a little bit more detailed reading. So I'm just curious if if some people I know that they can just work in any. They're like mentally ambidextrous. I'll do this, I'll do that. Some of us lean hard one way, and so I think for those of us that like lean hard in a different direction, it seems like it would have been valuable for me to think about that much earlier on, because I probably would have been more proactive about organizing tools that did that rather than just doing it kind of unconsciously. So has anyone else looked into that as far as like the different cognitive styles, or has that ever been a thought as far as how it relates to the way you take notes or the way you do this kind of stuff?
Is there a quiz or a test for that? I'm pretty sure I'm also visual spatial. I have a better memory when it comes to more visual things. So I haven't read physical books in a while, but when I'll remember well, because I've not been home much this year, but I actually remember where content might be in the book. If I can't remember the detail, exactly, I'll remember where it is located in the book, and if I flip the book open, I can flip to that page and find the detail that I need. So that's what the problem with reading like ebooks and things like that, or audiobooks for me lately, is that I can't always remember where the detail was. But if I have a physical book, I'll actually remember where the detail that I need is located in the book, which is really weird.
During the
Interesting.
history of the notebook breakout, that's one of the points that he raised, that one of the skills that have been lost with doing everything digitally is when you use analog, you create a spatial awareness where things are. So in generally people can open a book to roughly the area they want, or in their notes go straight to an area, because they build up this spatial knowledge, which doesn't tend to cross over to digital. And I find that
Did
a lot of the stuff
did
I do is still analog because of work.
did he offer any hopeful recommendations, or did he just say this is the dystopia we live in now?
Yeah, it's sort of like the halfway house was people who are using um, uh, like tablets to write notes rather than paper. Uh, they have a limited spatial awareness. Like if I scroll up a few sheets, um, I may be able to find it, but the greater visual awareness of where things are in whatever book or notes that analog notes that you've taken, that is a skill that is being lost. And you're talking about various MRI scans where they're looking at brains with people who are doing things digitally and analog. And he mentioned that his son was in one of the first schools in the UK that got rid of all of textbooks and notebooks, and Apple came in and set up an entire educational system. And at the end of the first year, after everyone had smashed the iPads, they came back and they replaced them with laptops, which were a bit more durable. And after the second year, all the laptops were locked up in the cupboards, and the notebooks and the textbooks came back out, because they found, on the whole, the students were remembering and able to interpret what they were reading far better. And by all accounts, there's been quite a few MRI tests, experiments, and research and MRIs that's been done on this. I've got his book. I just need to find. I'll find the section. I'll send you a bit of it. I'll scan that bit in.
You have it digital, or you have the physical copy, and you know right where to turn
A physical copy.
Yeah, Nikki, we talked about that on a previous week too, of like I'd been asking for advice because I'm trying to adapt to do better at long form reading, just because of the way I run my schedule. So I'm trying to decide between digital books, audio books, or physical copy. And part of that is the practical, but part of it is also is that cognitive style recognition. So I don't know what the right answer is. I just got to keep trying stuff, I guess. So anyway, that's me going first. I just wanted to show what I'm looking at and what I'm using. Does anyone who's been on note-taking mastery have anything burning in your brain that you want to bring up that's either interesting or a question or somewhere we could start to kick things off to talk about note-taking mastery or linking your thinking in general, that kind of thing?
Well, I just wanted to comment on what you said, that I have all the traits of a visual spatial learner, but not like the artsy parts or the visual creativity as much as my brain truly does link through many different ideas. And so actually having Obsidian link through all of these different ideas in words is really, really great for me because I can visually see it, but it's not that it's pretty or artsy or anything like that. Like when I make presentations, they're great for humans, but they're not pretty. They're boxy, but the communication's there. So it's a really good communication tool for me and my actual thought patterns. So I'm really liking it.
And have you started applying it yet? Like using it for anything that you're working on that you would have done a different way before?
Yes.
Or is it still just kind of getting started?
No, I'm actually using it, and it's made a difference. I am currently starting a therapist practice. I'm a social worker, and so moving into therapy from my other social work professions, I am organizing everything I need, the different pieces to all of it to be in a group practice. And so being able to start linking what I need to do for that practice and through different modalities and through the different therapies that I'm going to need and the trainings I want to do, and being able to I'm a gardener and then tend to it has actually gotten me to go back to my task list instead of just flying by it. Because I love bullet journaling. The problem with it is that it doesn't link that same way. And I have to go back into actual physical books to find things. So that's one way that I've been using it. Another is so like I said, it's my birthday and my name starts with C. So I decided this year, every year I have some sort of goal. Last year was pastativity, where I had a different pasta or sauce every week for the year. That was my New Year's goal. This year it's focusing on all of the C words in my life and how they connect for me and what makes me think of what, that kind of spark, remark, relate. And I just went to town with it on a long car drive and just ended up making so much content through those links. It was really cool.
Wow. So that's kind of on the top. There's probably there's a good psychological term for it, but this idea of noticing or intentional noticing of us in a certain way. Like if you go on a walk, I have a friend who sends me Marco Polos and we talk all the time. He was talking about a book called 8 Walks where the author goes the same route.
Love that.
It sounds like you might know that book. Okay. Well, you can fill in the blanks because I only heard about secondhand, but the way it was described to me is the author took walked the same route with 8 different people from different walks of life. And the things that were either noticed or talked about was the reason he brought it up is that if you go on a walk and you're looking for birds, you're going to see birds. But if someone asks you if you saw any other animals or cats or how many cars drove by, you're like, I have no idea. I was looking for this, so I saw this.
Yeah.
I'd
Well,
never thought of
confirmation
doing
bias
something.
starts with C.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's
There's
like when
another
you buy,
psychological term.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you get a certain car, that's the only car you see on the road all of a sudden, and those types of things. But that could be a useful thing too, like you just described, doing something as narrow as just like a certain letter of the alphabet, but using that as a narrowing or focusing tool. That's pretty cool.
Exactly. That's the thing. You know, I'm a divergent thinker, and sometimes it's hard, like my garden's everywhere without some sort of structure. Like we loves the structure, but we hates it. So this is the way for me to kind of narrow in and get creative with even like other topics that come to mind, but making it conform to the structure I've built, which is pretty loose. Anything that starts with C. So it really did just give my brain slightly enough structure to just go to town with it. And I was able to
Oh, that's
capture
great.
it on audio with you know, just making bullet points and then talking into my phone. The only downside of that, and if anybody has a good idea in here of like, I have an Android, but if I'm talking to my phone and I don't notice that it hasn't been recording, that's really annoying. That's almost worse than autocorrect, I think. But it does make me repeat it, and I like that the note making mastery has been really helping me with my perfectionism when it comes to, you know, what I put in, and then it's okay to like just erase it and change things.
So that keeps you from editing.
No, it makes me edit, or it actually gives me permission to edit instead of trying to have it perfect when I put it in, or the idea already fully like cultivated. You'll start to notice I use a lot of words with C today.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that book, it's you did a good job of explaining it. It's basically someone who took a walk around her same block with 8 different experts and observed what the experts had to say about her block. One was like a plant person, one was like an urban planning person. And so just her one block, there was so much like differential from the small stuff all the way to like the big stuff. And so I love that book because it does, I like that about trees, right? Like you can look at the very little bits of the bark, or you can look all the way up into the sky and see them. And you can do that just in the same position all at once.
Yeah. You don't remember the title of the book, do you? Oh yeah, I see Kwame put the gorilla experiment. That's the classic one that use that all the time. Do you remember the title of the book, Kristen?
No, I'll find it. I'll put it in.
I'll put it in the chat because I'm saving that in our log. But so how long ago did you start doing this process? Like how long have you been at it with the
Me? November 1st. Like
November 1st?
honestly,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, I've been bullet journaling for years, but really digging into Obsidian and liking it as a tool. And I assumed that I would hit barriers that I really didn't like. So far, I haven't, which is pretty surprising.
Well, sounds like you're off to a great start.
Yeah, it was neat.
If it's only been since November 1st, yeah.
Yeah, November 1st through November 22nd was the class, and I thought that was pretty timely for me. And to be honest with you, it also kept me kind of on track and focused on something positive.
Yeah. No, that's great. All right.
Sorry for joining late, but there's to your points earlier, like visual spatial mapping, there's a lot of really cool resources and visual tools that could help with the whole mapping. Yeah. Oh yeah. I pulled up a few I could show, or we could.
Yeah, please do. Let's. Yeah, this is roundtable. So anyone who feels like blurting out, let's just. Let's please do it.
Yeah. So I started going deep this Wednesday. I'm about like by day 13, and I've watched all 3 sessions and 4 sessions. So I've been like massively compressing the note-taking mastery, and I'm excited. I also invested into the knowledge accelerator because what I found, it's really powerful for me to connect because I'm very intuitive. And I'll show you right now. I don't want to overwhelm, but this is going to be overwhelming what I'm about to share because I am spread in like very divergent thinking. So I'm trying to bring it all back together into the similar. And all of this in turn of, to give some back context, I'm ideating really fast, having a lot of conversations with a lot of people at this point. And part of that process is also distilling my thoughts with others' thoughts, with the thoughts and systems of other people. And Obsidian really helps to bring it all together with the maps of content. So some really cool tools you were exploring. I think you asked about Canvas. I can show what that looks like. I don't know if it's better to just
Yeah,
show.
go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, I'm sending you a request.
Yeah, got it.
Cool. I'm going to show a few tools, and I'm also going to show deeply the work I'm doing within AI, specifically with ChatGPT, and exploring that, pulling that out, and putting that into Obsidian to do a lot of the rollups and a lot of the tending of the garden. Yeah, there's some really cool connections that I don't think have been explored as deeply. I'm just scared to show my full screen. Okay, we'll do it. All right. I'll start with Obsidian. How about that? Let's keep it one screen at a time. So
Yeah,
here's a
there
really
you go.
cool integration. So this is Canvas, but what I've also been experimenting with and playing with is you can have Whimsical export that and put it in here into the Canvas. So what's really neat about, say, something like Canvas is you can take and embed a lot of these different websites into it, which is really cool. So then, like, let's say, for instance, which I'm going to show you in a bit, right now I have this, I don't know if you can see this. Does it show? No, it doesn't show. I'm working on a design map for my branding, for my identity, kind of exploring models and different things. So what I could do is I can come in here, and if it's, well, I'd have to share the permissions, but I can put in a Canva page or Canva link in here, which I'll show, and then actually start using that and kind of working within it. So there's an ability to take and transclude and then embed into your system what you want to see. That's really cool.
Okay.
So if you have a link of any kind, whether that's YouTube videos, whether that's resources, and you just need to just put them in there. Yeah, so transclude in this case means like you take a page and then you put it into another. So it's like an embed. It's really another way of saying that. So you can do that within Obsidian, which is really cool. Where it's also really great, there's a tool called Excalidraw that allows you to draw. So draw, ideate, put little squares and circles, and that kind of also helps the process of movement. I'm going to share another tool that's really cool. Let me see if I have it here. So I'll share Freeform. Is anyone using that? So Freeform is it's an Apple first kind of, it's within the Apple ecosystem that allows you to take in thoughts and whatnot. So in these conversations that I'm having with people, I'm kind of guiding them because I'm coaching, kind of mentoring, also iterating my own conversations. So this is the system I follow, right? Like here's my session. This is from Brendan Burchard, like his, I think I got it from Experts Academy. So desired outcomes, 7 prepared questions with challenge, etc. Right? But then that kind of got me thinking, like, okay, what do I think about identity? Right? I'm kind of like the Sherpa guiding you, the 3 to 5 year advantage, right? So it's like I'm giving this sense of like, okay, let's rapidly iterate the future and bring it into the now. But visually, what it is it's like these are the concepts that I'm working with, like your relationship with information first before you get into the tools and the systems, because this gap, right? There's 5 levels of change, a whole bunch of stuff, right? But what I'm showing here is look at the tool. Like this gives you the freedom, flexibility, right? So here's the process we're going. How do we get there? And then like, okay, let's talk about tools. Are you the gardener, the architect, the curator? I think these are good starting archetypes, but they're not the entirety. There's like a map of archetypes. So you need like a meta archetype for all the archetypes, right? But anyway, what I'm showing is like, if you need to kind of iterate through some of these concepts, like Freeform is a good tool if you're with an Apple. And then you can take ChatGPT prompts, put them in here, and then start extracting. Personally, what I didn't really care so much or like about this was if you're trying to format it and give it to like a client or give it to somebody, it takes a lot of work to make it nice and clean. But if you just need something fast to kind of get your ideas up and running, like this will work. So yeah, just sharing this tool. Let me go ahead and share. Oh, sorry. I don't know if there's any comments or anything that
I was just going to say that that freeform, that feels like what I like about using Miro, in that I don't have to stop and think about a page like putting together a slide deck. Like I'm just, well, this actually belongs with this, and before it becomes a thing, I can just like, I mean, honestly, I used to use just big old whiteboards, and so
Yeah.
it's the close thing that feels like anything can be anything until I decide to commit to it, and having that type of space. Again, I keep on using the phrase "work messy." It's like there's
Oh,
part
yeah.
of me that wants to work messy. I think it might have been an Austin Kleon book. I think he talked about his own work studio, and he said he had one side that had a typewriter and one side that was organized, and one side that was art and just papers and scribbles and kind of stuff like that. And it's like I want my digital thinking space to kind of mirror that I need to be able to work messy but have it belong to the structured space somehow.
Exactly. And I resonate with that 100%. My work is very messy because a lot of my thoughts are happening at the intuitive level, where it's very strategic and very kind of, again, invisible. So what note making has enabled me to do is, okay, I can still do that because I ideate really fast. In fact, the conversation sparks so many ideas. Free writing, free speaking, and free talking, or whatever he called it, like those three, like those are my go-to methods. Like using Otter, using Loom to kind of quickly ideate ideas, and then taking balls of text and working with that. And now within the note making process, what I see is like, okay, I have an anchor. So those are the maps of content. And each of these in itself, each map of content, I put onto a canvas and they start becoming like even meta blocks of content. So the output of that, and what I'm excited to explore right now is there's a plugin within Obsidian called continuous reading. And so what that would enable me to do is take all these maps of content, all these files, and then just stream them all together. I'll put this as a PDF or whatever, and then I have a final product. Because what I'm cutting away at is like, okay, I need to iterate fast and cut down and be super efficient in my output. And at the same time, give myself the freedom to really explore and go all out. And so that's just kind of, it's exciting kind of what's unfolding, because to kind of give more reference, are any of you familiar with Aaron Fletcher? He's a marketer. He has a high ticket program. I bought his program, and he teaches you how to create a high ticket offer. We're talking 3K to 5K and up, where you take your ideas and you put them into 9 steps, right? But in that, there's this validation method that needs to happen. And so what's really cool about that, I've been going deeply into his stuff, Nick Milo's stuff, thought leadership stuff, like all these systems kind of converging to see like, okay, this is my output. This is where I'm going, and I'm leading, and also building a school community, right? So there's a lot of this kind of massive like forcing function, and having meetings with people really helps to kind of get these ideas fleshed out. All this to say, note making, what it does is it starts to allow my thoughts and interactions within my system. And it's cool to see. But yeah, I'm trying.
I kind of hear like, yeah, I almost hear like you're like this. You got these two modalities. One, you're like this racehorse, but you're also the person trying to train it from the outside. So you're trying to whip up the energy, but you're also trying to make sure it goes somewhere. At the same time, it's like you're using your mind, but you're also trying to guide it towards not just everything splintering out like an explosion, like going into like a refined output.
Let me share, you hit it on the nail. And okay, I haven't seen anybody use ChatGPT this way. And I think this is breakthrough, and for me at least. Anybody here taking the Strengths Finder test?
Yeah.
So I've taken my
Clifton,
strengths,
yeah.
but look at what I'm doing with it. I'm asking it to go super deep. Like, okay, and what you're saying is true. I'm operating at this high level of super high strategic thinking, which is big level, but also the action. So it's like I'm concurrently moving the vision with the small steps that'll get me there. So this is cool, but if you want a game changer to your AI usage, this is like revolutionary. Take whatever answers and say, hey, this is a level 1 answer, but I want you to go to level 2. Okay, so on the basis of that, just that thinking is iterative, and it's already like going to augment everything you're doing. But don't stop there. Go deeper into a level 3 answer with the most advanced strategies and thinking you know. on the basis of that, this is the output that it gave me. What you were saying. And so what I'm doing is like my strengths, unique abilities allow me to take high leverage inputs and then also really deep dive into the specifics, the meta level mapping. So that's my natural original type of thinking. But what's really cool about this process is I'm building on my strengths, the topics and contents that I want to output. Applying this a little bit more specifically. So look, it's giving me the systems of what thinking engines to develop. This is really good stuff if you know what you're working with. But there's also a lot of level of thinking and prompting of what you're not asking. Start looking and searching and querying the negative asks. When you start doing
Okay,
that,
wait, stop there for a second. That's worth stopping on for a minute, because that right there in just 5 words, that seems like a super powerful prompt that you could use like in a lot of different places.
yes,
That
yeah.
that's okay. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I
No, no,
want
no,
to at
please,
least
please
make
ask.
yeah, I want to make
Please.
note of that because I want to come back and try that, because that's got me thinking of some other things that there's somebody taught me a prompt style called gaps and possibilities, where they were writing they're writing on a certain subject, and they gave ChatGPT the transcript of what they'd written, and they told it why I'm writing this, and then said predict give me 10 predictions on what you think I'll write next. And then and then just parsing through those and say, okay, give me 10 more, and it's kind of the same. It was for the same purposes as like what you have here, is that what am I not asking, or what matches this pattern or this world that I'm not bringing up. And I haven't tried a whole lot of that yet, but I think that is like 1,000 times more powerful than what most people think AI is for. They think it's for typing one sentence and having a 10,000 word essay come out. That's what most people think AI is for. But something like what you just did with what am I not asking is that's incredibly powerful, and it's very unlikely to threaten you with hallucinations or any hallucinations that matter, because you can just look at them and then you discern whether that's meaningful or not. And you're not trusting it with the final output, because you're going to go do all the final output. You're not letting AI take the end step of the loop, right?
Exactly. Because what I'm struggling with, a lot of us struggle, is how to communicate your value. And this is closing your feedback loops, and you're getting straight to it, and you're getting the language of your own situational awareness and blindness, right? So thank you for that. And pause me at any time, because I'm holding back because I don't want to go too fast, but this is going to be overwhelming, right? So then I talk and I say, hey, like, this is the stuff I'm doing. Like, I need you to kind of change that. And like, how does my current challenge become an opportunity, right? And sure enough, and then I start asking it, like, here's what I'm building. I'm building around thought leadership. So what I did before, I took my 10 results and I put them in there, and I'm answering the question, Kwame, how did I miss or how did I put the strengths finder? I've already given it, like, and it has in its memory all my strengths. So I asked it to deliver that, and then, okay. And on the basis of that, like, I'm just kind of building on it. But first you have to seed it, right? So first you say, hey, I want you to analyze, these are my top 10 strengths. And on the basis of this, like, tell me what each one stands for. And then what you do is you go deeper into one at a time. And then you could take this one at a time, and then you go 3 levels deep, and then you do that. So yeah, there's just a lot of this, right? Like, hey, this is level 1, give me level 2, give me level 3, like that's anyway. This is really cool, right? This is just a start. I've run at this point like tens of thousands of prompts to kind of be able to get to understand this at a very deep and intuitive level. But what's really cool is within here, like, you just keep going. You just keep going, going, and going. And so this on the basis of this, like, this is what I'm creating, a future designed identity. Visualize, reverse engineer, move into a category of 1, right? Which is a lot of this kind of alignment with the shift 30 for 30 stuff. And so look at this method that I'm really exploring, the clarity cascade, a 3-phase decision-making framework. So then, okay, how do you develop this? Like, this is good to start iterating, and you're building, and yeah, Master High took us, like, this is good stuff. Operate on an exponential level. And that's where we start to really go back to what is our strength and what are we building? Because with AI, you can get really powerful when you start doing this type of prompting as well. I want you to go through each of the points one at a time and go in detail. Do not continue until I give you the approval. So now what you're doing is you're building depth on the basis of one prompt. And then, okay, you're asking it, you're designing it, you're reverse engineering. And on the basis of these answers, what you do is you kind of say, no, this is good, this is not good, this is whatever, right? This is cool and all, but this is overwhelming for the vast majority of us, right? Or people. What you can do, and I don't know if you're using this tool, it's called AI PRM, but you can actually export the chat. And once you export this chat, you can import that into Obsidian. And once you input it into Obsidian, you could do a lot of the stuff there that's, again, we learn in the note-making mastery. And that's how I tie it all back in. Because when you have this massive prompt and you start using like rapid, just kind of tending, which you could probably run a script as well, where you just say like, okay, for every header, just make it into a #2 or whatever. Use Markdown, and then you refactor those as notes. Now you've got yourself all this like gold gem stuff here that's like really, really powerful. But anyway, so that's a little bit of ChatGPT kind of connection to the note making thing. But I want to
one observation I'll make real quick on that. I'm finding this because I run an AI user group at my company. So we have 100 people in our office. I have one person from each department, and like I'm trying to get them all through Ethan Mollick's book Co-Intelligence first, and then I'll use them as the test pilots for wider adoption. But I'm finding so quickly that people are getting lost in the text because AI can generate so much of it so quickly. And it's like one thing I'm just bookmarking this to think more about later is like in what you showed right there, I know that your mind is very active on all of that text. So this text isn't the product, it's a mirror or a counterpart for your thinking, which is invisible. Well, when most people see this, they just see a couple words from you and they see all these words came from ChatGPT, and they think that this text is the product or that this text is the thinking. But what's actually going on with almost everything that we're all doing here with PKM or AI is like the actual real important part is mostly invisible. The only visible part of it is what part we write that we externalize like that. And then that's not even the most important part. It's like your lived thought experience is the real important part, and that none of that stuff ever shows up visually. So I have to keep telling people in my user group, it's like, these are just strings of words. They don't, if it writes meeting notes for you, they don't matter. It doesn't mean anything. What really means something is what you think. And if you're not thinking anything, then all this stuff we're getting from AI is useless. If you sit idly in a 1 hour meeting and you let teams write the notes, and then you look at it and you say it looks good and you hit send, we have just taken a step backwards in like human advancement, because no one actually did any thinking. And so I'm just that's what I start thinking of, because it's accelerating so fast. It's also why I like Nick Milo, because everything he does seems to be encouraging people to take this active, like mastery, like this active this active role in the process of working through ideas.
So I love that you say that. I was gonna actually try and find it, but it's just probably easier to prompt it.
Yeah.
What you're saying is true. There's people don't understand that this is a reflection of who you are and ultimately what you think.
This is a level answer, go deeper 12 2. This is a level answer, go deeper 12 2.
So this is the Speechify thing that I do, because what I do is I 3x speed stuff as I'm reading it, because I'm like massively like rereading the answers back to me, and that activates different parts of my mind.
Oh, interesting.
But look at this type of prompting. You by definition, the way you're asking questions and prompting and interacting with the AI, take a step back. Let's go meta here and ask ChatGPT to reflect back to you your thinking based on your actions. So this is very bottom up, ground up level of thinking. So this prompt, based on what you know of my thread and questioning to you in this thread, which is redundant, right? But anyway, I just did it in real time. Reveal my thinking style. This is super cool for self-awareness and understanding. So now that it sees that, look, this is simple. This is what I operate. High strategic level, always looking to zoom out and identify larger patterns. I asked the why, trait. So this is diagnose, high output architect, deep evaluative process. Just by what you're already doing, there's all this evidence there. Ask the system to give it back to you. But what I would do here is the level 3. This is a level 1 answer. I don't even care about spelling because it understands. Go to
It does.
2. So now I'm starting to develop the language and also the confidence competence loop, right? By me doing this, iterating, I'm going to a deeper level of just understanding. So it automatically starts reading it, but what I do is I typically turn it off. Like you can turn it off too. But let's say if I did want to listen to this.
Fractal architect.
Do you guys hear this? No, probably not.
Your thinking operates in fractals, layers within layers, where every idea must connect cohesively at both the macro strategic and micro tactical levels.
So what's really cool about like integrating like faster ways of learning, when you hear something, like I can go here, okay, you can choose your voice. This is like about 500 words per minute, but if you're following along, it's not that fast. Like your eyes just keep up, and so you're like soaking in and like input. This is cool, right? So now it's like that same answer, let's get more granular. And then if I do a level 3, deeper.
Did you start at triple speed or did you have to work up to that?
I've probably worked up to it.
Oh, okay.
It's
That's
not
that. Yeah. That's definitely pushing the envelope. That's pretty wild stuff.
What program is that?
This is called Speechify.
Oh, this is a Speechify reader. Okay.
Yeah, it is an investment, but if you're value like what you're gonna do, like this is really cool. But anyway, just I wanted to share some stuff. Hopefully this is valuable. So yeah, what you were saying earlier, right? About how this is what I've done with some of these ChatGPT prompts. Just put them on a canvas and then start to see connections, right? So you can always revisit it, right? So like, okay, what are the offers I want to create? So quick win library, 90 results, rapid. So these are for workshops, ideas that I kind of want to start holding. But just this alone, like, okay, I can take it and I can start repurposing it. This is another tool called Board Mix that I was exploring to see if it could do it. It was like a lifetime deal I think I got on. But yeah, like, okay, like for my business direction, what do I want to do? So, okay, what's the strategy? What's the income level? What's like the stuff? So you can do mind maps, but at the same time, just take a wall of text. So let's say, for instance, I want to take this here. I could either copy it, paste it, import it, like different things. But yeah, so this is Board Mix. That's a really cool tool. Before I get to the last one, Whimsical. I've also been exploring with that. So I was going through this training. This is a really cool tool for mind mapping. Like it does that really well. Again, limitations that I'm finding is the export and kind of repurposing and using. Hence why I have to go to like tools like Obsidian or others. But yeah, I was going through this training by, I think her name is Layla. I forget, but it was really good. She's kind of
Whimsical is Whimsical's a standalone product.
Standalone product.
But it looked like it had an integration with Obsidian. Was that what it was?
What I did
is
just
linked it in.
Exactly. I took it here and I created an open link, and then like you can put it. But what's kind of cool is you can actually require a password. So if you're scared of like people reading your stuff or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Put a
All right.
password.
No, yeah, I just want to make sure I had that tagged so we understood what to look back for.
Yeah.
If anybody's looking for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Whimsical is really cool. And then the last one that I discovered this and I'm like, wow, why hasn't anybody talked about this? So I think I need to start creating content on it. Canva. Canva has a whiteboard feature. I don't know if you guys knew that. And what's really cool about this is like, okay, so like I'm in the early phases of defining my brand. So I found a bunch of templates looking at this here. Like, but again, a lot of if you want to be a thought leader, you need to have models. You need to have ways of having your ideas kind of go beyond just like, I'm telling you stuff to like, here's my model, my 3-step, 4-step, 5-step, whatever, right? Your framework. And so, yeah, like I have a course called Easy Obsidian, but you can take your elements, like your stuff, put it in here, like just kind of have it. And what's really cool, and I'll show you, if you're anything like me, or if you have a lot of ideas that you just need to sort out, like, okay, so like, yeah, going through the business model canvas is a really good practice just in general, right? But I took a lot of this from like ChatGPT, iterated, I mapped it into here, and now I've got like, okay, who's the market? What are they looking for? What are the systems? What's my value proposition? Like all this conversation. Obsidian is going to be really cool to kind of bridge and start giving me those like really nice, clean from all this stuff that I'm showing. But what I was trying to show you here is, okay, take a bunch of these, like duplicate them, arrange them. And what you can do is, okay, within here, just start aligning them evenly, space them evenly, tidy up. Cool. Like give yourself like, okay, you can create this. Maybe it'll take you like the first,
Like
I don't know,
sticky notes, basically.
50 notes, right? But if you want the post-it note idea with like the system, tool, whatever, like, okay, cool. Like give yourself this, copy it. And now you've given yourself like the ability to kind of just think visually. And then what's really cool, so I'll show you this, like you can ask it like to sort it by color. So say for instance, I was to do this, like, and sorry, this is doing it in real time, but I think you'll find it useful. Give yourself like different styles. So like first put out all your ideas, right? The brain dump that GTD talks about or everyone, right? Okay, so you've got yourself these cool looking systems. Let's say one stands for categories, one stands for like systems, one stands for whatever your topic is, like just, I'm just picking randomly here. Cool. So let me delete it.
Like it looks not entirely unlike clustering.
Exactly,
Like
visually.
Nick Mile is talking about clustering. Yeah.
You could take your ideas, put them in here, you categorize them if you think they stand for a certain color, and then using here, just say sort it by color. So there you go. So now you've taken that chaos and you've given yourself like a visual way of collecting and connecting stuff, which is really beautiful because now like this starts to become the foundation. What's cool within the Canva ecosystem is I could take this, I can open it up like in a document or a presentation and just copy paste it. So you use your messy work here in something like this, and then when it's time to refine it and share it, like we could definitely do that for, yeah. But just that, I'm going here like the rapid iteration from a lot of concepts and ideas that are in your head to an expression that's visible, and then ultimately your ultimate kind of conversation, which is like the output, right? That's lacking severely, right? So these are just some of those iterative type of things.
Right. I love this, man. This is so awesome. So many different tools. And I think this very powerful common topic behind it, that is to have one central visual representation where you can expand into several different directions and connect different topics with your strategy and with customers and with the vision. So you can see it all in one place. And I think that's so nice.
Awesome. And you might have more than one spot. Like I have, as you saw,
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable with using many different tools, and there's a lot of discomfort at first and resistance that I need everything in one spot. I don't put that pressure on myself. The pressure is like, I need to show up, right?
On your way to link them back to Obsidian, which is also super cool, right? You can embed basically this web page or snippets into Obsidian. That's also a nice connector for everything, right?
Yeah. And again, with the purpose of feeling good with my relationship with information. So I go back to that, like you can do all these things, but at the end, it's what matters most is kind of your understanding. Anyone use like a tablet, iPad?
I use a little bit of one. I bought my daughter a tablet and I steal it from her when she's not looking.
Yeah. Because I
would
find
like to use it better.
You would
like to actually take notes and to ideate. It's a nice tool.
Yeah.
You know what's nice? You know what's nice about it though, I was thinking is that maybe this comes from like school age time, is that when you get something formatted right, if you ever had to type stuff, once it's typed in and formatted, it's like you're kind of done. You don't want to do that again. So it's like structured stuff and bodies of text feel like like they represent some type of a scarcity value, but it's like when you're working messy, it's like, well, I can just throw stuff away if it doesn't work. It can just be temporary, but I think one, and that's what I started doing with like whether it's like tagging in my system or even bodies of text from AI is like now it's now that it's written and structured, it's like, well, I'm kind of stuck with it. I kind of have to stay here now. But you know, that's the thing is if you ask AI to fill something for you, you can just delete it and get a new one. It doesn't matter that it was 10,000 words. You can instantly delete those valuable 10,000 words and push the button again and get 10,000 brand new valuable words. So for me, part of this like structured versus messy has to do with this constrained feeling like I'm on the final draft. I can't change anymore because it's too late. I already typed the thing, and so now it has to stay there. But what I hear in you, it's like you're not caught up on that because you'll work in a lot of these different places. It's like I think everyone here probably takes notes because you're afraid of losing an idea. It's like I don't want to lose it, but it's like there's 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 more. There's like you can always get more ideas, and you can always you can always get more stuff. But I'm still hung up on this fear of losing stuff that I either used to know or this one good idea that I had. It's like so I can make as much as I want, but I'm still clutching um to keep them organized so I don't lose them. I don't know if anybody else feels that.
Yes. You know what I'm going through right now? I am decluttering my book collection. I have easily over, or have had over 1,000 books. Right
Wow.
now, there's probably like 100 books that I'm gonna let go of. And it's like what I'm coming to realize with information, right? Um, it's my own reflection of how I feel, like needing or like why do I need to go get all these experts to validate what I intuitively know, right? There's been a lot of that kind of sense. And so physically decluttering is allowing me to open up space, but it goes both ways because we're both digital level, physical level, spiritual, emotional level. They're all at different levels of solving the same identity, which is you, right? So,
Yeah.
and it's a different feeling. It's like there's a vacuum now in many senses. Like it's like where's all this space? What's gonna fill it, right? There's this, but I think it goes back to what you're saying, right? That like the feeling of losing information. But if you're willing to do it, I heard this term in a conversation I had with in a sales call, where she was saying like it's cringe mountain, right? All of us kind of have to go through the cringe, especially when you're starting off and you're like, what do I do? How do I offer? What do I charge? Like all this like in business, right? You're birthing your ideas, you're putting them out there, and like what are people gonna say? What are they doing? But on the other side of that, I think the people who have gone through it, they understand and they respect it because you have to go through it. And the same goes with information, right? We start off hoarding everything. We're like the what is it, Gollum, right? Trying to
Yeah.
or the we're just trying to capture our treasures, right? And not let go without realizing that the greatest treasure is everything's already open, right? It's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
awesome.
Frank, just quick question for you. I mean, this is absolutely fascinating, really, really impressive and inspiring the way that you do this. I just wanted to hone in on your comment because that starts like, you know, as a visually oriented person, you start sort of in a messy the whiteboard space, and then you mentioned and you take it into Obsidian, right? And if I just dwell on that for a second, when you say you take that visual representation of your ideas into Obsidian, I just wanted to understand that. Are you saying is it more like just a copy of the visual into Obsidian, or are you actually transforming those various elements in your whiteboard into separate nodes that are then automatically linked within Obsidian? I was just curious which format in Obsidian are you working with?
Yes. So I love the question. Let me, if I can show kind of, it's more the second. So they become now with the note making kind of unlock. That's what I'm calling it. And again, I'm very early into the note making system. I'm like 4 days in, 5 days in. But just I know strategically, like I know what it can be. Like I already see it. And this is kind of like so I guess what I'm trying to share here, and I'll share that same note I was sharing, right? I mentioned how you can export it. So it shows here I exported it this morning. This is what it looks like inside of Obsidian, right? So it's like, here's a note. this here, using kind of the thinking, and so this is what I felt like the class is great, and I love the system. I invested, right? Like I'm a believer. But what it's not showing is like, how do I use this practically? And because that wasn't the context, that wasn't the scope of the course. But kind of to use the method that he was showing, all right, I know that this is a big one. So now I have something like strategic, because I keep talking about it. So I do the command, and then I do my double. There we go. But it's not going to work because it's within an EM tag. So there's some stuff. But yeah, what I would do is, now that I have it in here, within ChatGPT, I could start actually going through my responses and start linking them. So now they start to become so strategic. Okay, and then now I've started a new note called strategic. It's down here, kind of using the thinking system that he was presenting us with. This might connect with a map system that I'm going to call StrengthsFinder. So now I can go like this. So all of a sudden now I've got myself visually. What I felt was missing, or what I again, this is just kind of me thinking out loud, because I haven't, but this is the work that I'm going to be doing in the next few, is okay, within Obsidian you have this thing called your local graph. I'm going to go ahead and open that local graph, and I'm going to drag that local graph down here, because what I want to start seeing is how these connections pair to each other. So I'm going to close that. So okay, so I've got strategic, I've got local graph, but I see that this is connected to this place. And I've got this other tool where I can actually open the note and edit it in here if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that just quite. So this is, yeah, to answer your question, like I would take the note, I would start kind of forming, tending, reworking, like we learned inside of the Notemaking Mastery course. And in doing so, start to actually, my next step is like create the MLCs that would start bringing and bridging these items together. So like strategic thinking, I see real world connections and patterns. So I might say like, okay, this is pretty good. But yeah, there's a lot of what you're saying. I take it here, connect it, rework it, integrate it. What's really cool within Obsidian, there's this plugin called Presentation. It's called Advanced Slide. Oh no, that's not the one though. Let me go back. So you can do Canvas presentation, which is really cool, but I think it's this one, Slides Extended. So I'm gonna go ahead and install it. I love like doing stuff once, but having like a high output. So with this slide extended thing, I'm curious to see, I'm trying this in real time, so I don't know if it's gonna work. But you can take your note, whatever it is you're working on, and create a note on the basis of this, right? So this is your note, and you're presenting. Okay, so now like if I'm in a presentation mode, I can actually open this in a web browser. I can, let's see, more options. So this is, what did I do here? I took a plugin, I installed it. I'm working off, you could say real-time kind of data information. Let me move it over just so we see it bigger. And you can have yourself from your note, like a presentation that you're sharing, like, okay, this is what it is. And of course you format it, you make it look clean. There's different themes and designs, but okay, this is my level 3 answer, right? But this is the power of repurposing kind of one note into different levels, right? The multi-dimensional aspect that starts to give you a lot of just potential here.
Yeah. Hey, and Frank, on the right, that GPT plug, is that the smart connection or smart connector plugin?
No, it's not. I'm exploring right now a couple. So this is, I think, the FileMaker 3000 or 2000. What's really cool about their system, like I'll show you some of the ChatGPTs. There's a few. AI File Organizer 2000. That's one that these guys are doing something really cool where let me show you. What they do is they actually go through the page and they allow you to put in a fabric template, tags, folders. You can parse it to take atomic notes. It's not going to show here because I think I need to change the model here in the platform. But what it is like they go through the page and they actually give you like tags and title suggestions and like connections, which is really, really cool. But yeah, so this is the one that I'm using. It's not Smarts Connection. I think I like, what is it called? Let me search for it. I'm drawing. Yeah, I have Smarts Connection, which is cool, but it's another one. I can get back to you. I don't know which one it was.
Okay, really, really cool. Right, and just in terms of, because I was actually initially referring to your visual output, right? To the I know the Canva output. Are you also, because I thought you mentioned you also bring that into Obsidian, so you, sort of your visual representation of your thinking. I'm just curious because this is obviously this looks like a Chat GPT output that you're showing here.
Right,
But
right.
I'm curious, how would you actually import a visual output into Obsidian if that's what you're doing?
Yeah. So what you would have to like here's okay. Let me here's how I do it, because this is a really interesting question, right? So you can create a new node here, and I'm going to create like a scala draw. First step I do is let me go ahead and create a drawing here. Kind of like a map of my thinking, right? Let's say I'm creating a map of my thinking. What I would do is I start kind of taking these notes in here and linking them. Like, okay, what do I see here? So I guess what I'm trying to say is like the first step you need to do is actually create the map itself, right? Like, what does that look like? Where's it coming from? You can take the nodes. So on the one hand, like when I want like lo-fi kind of like low models, I use Excalidraw because it's really cool. The map idea that you shared, Aaron, the reason why I was excited about it, you could use maps inside of Obsidian where they actually become different parts of your vault.
Right.
What I do is first I need to create a map of the visual thinking. So it's a recreation process, whether that's here in Excalidraw or what's nice about, so what I do Command P, creating a new canvas, is I could just take these different elements and start putting them in here. Let's see. So yeah, so okay, this might be like the reflection kind of from the exercise. What you can start doing here, and I'll show you this super cool way of doing it. You go to Canvas, I think it was like mind map.
I want to zoom back out in about 5 minutes back to Nick's stuff too, but I want to see this too.
Yeah, so for Nick's stuff, what's really cool, let me just, and I don't have a finalized example for you, but with Nick's stuff, if you have a map of content, like of your list of links, you could take that and put it into a Canva, and now you've got a visual representation of your map of content, which is a really cool application that's where I see like this happening and becoming. But what's kind of neat about here is you can start creating your own kind of map of content if you want visually, which is kind of how I would use it to answer your question. Take these, start kind of bridging your ideas, finding commonalities, patterns, clusters in a way. This would become a cluster, right? So you've got your cluster, and then your output on the basis of that might be, say, something like this, right? Where you've got your more finalized kind of input output. I don't know if that answers your question. I don't think I'm hitting it on the nail.
No, it's great. It's great, Frank. Really, really interesting. And the reason I asked it because I tend to start from Obsidian. Like the way that my thinking works is I kind of do the Nick version and start with the nodes, create some links, add some nodes, kind of create a cluster of nodes around that. So I'm just curious, because the next step for me coming at it from that way would then be to represent that cluster of nodes into Canva, for example, right? So I can visually see a representation of the various nodes that I've created in Obsidian, so I can start the colliding process, right?
Yes, exactly. So there's so much like within Obsidian, you could take, I think that's what a lot of people might not be seeing. If anything, if my takeaway, right, it's you can take one note, because this, with the exception of Canva, see it as a flat line, kind of straight MOC type style, which is what Nick showed us, which is really cool because it's basis and it gets you there. But at the same time, you could take that same note and make it into a Kanban, which I do, right? I do have those Canva, and then you can also make it into a mind map, and it could actually be both at the same time if you really wanted that, which is really cool to think. Sorry.
Thanks, Frank. Really helpful.
One thing I thought it would be cool to do, and if other people have ideas, please chime in, because this is all of your time, and I want to make this valuable for everybody. I was wondering if it might be interesting to try if we tried together to do one of Nick Milo's processes, like there's the Spark, Remark, Relate, if we could just choose a topic that one of us or many of us find interesting and try to do that process on at least one or two different platforms. Like as far as a topic, if that lead in is drawing blanks, I can lead with it. But Rodney, you've been listening. I know you said you just finished a class. Do you have any thoughts in mind, or Paul, you've been really quiet ever since you got your coffee. How are you doing over there?
I'm doing good. I must admit, I also had an Amazon delivery, which I was rather curious about.
Yeah. Did you have any thoughts sprout up while we were talking, or any burning questions that you want to bring up?
Not at the moment.
Okay. All right. Well, I just want to
I
work.
got completely lost in what Frank was saying. It was like way over my head.
Same.
I sat there in awe.
Yeah, but
Yes, it's
just
a lot. It's
for
an avalanche.
it's yeah, right. You got a lot. You got a lot to share. It's a lot of good. It's definitely the fire hose. It's awesome though.
Sorry,
But I just want to, since we're not physically in the same room, so I don't get eye contact and body language. I just want to make sure everyone's getting the time to share and contribute too. Denise, you put something in the chat also. Did you want to share what that is?
I'm kind of curious, I guess, still about the Nick Milo stuff. But as I'm kind of listening to all of this, I am like curious because I am very focused on really learning these tools, because with what I'm about to do and what I'm really trying to do with my current college students is to get better about even, like in the classroom space, like sharing my notes more effectively and even giving them content more effectively. But how do I even start to teach my students about these tools? Because they just, I see a lot of mess. And I think even though we assume, especially like, the younger students now, that they just know how to use all these tools, but they don't. And like I have students that were not even aware of OneNote. And so I think like what is my role in all of this, and like how do I take what I'm using, like what I'm learning here, and apply it. But also I'm transitioning hopefully in the next 6 months, so I will finish my graduate school application this next week. And I know that if I don't have a way, because I am a very neurodivergent thinker, so I know that I've got to have a way to manage all this information that I'm about to take in. And maybe it is that I have to use multiple tools, because I am still very curious about Tana. Like I'm about to start to like be more protective with my time, because, like all of this, like time is always the issue. But if I don't set time now to train myself on all of these tools that I can use by the time I start my graduate program in May, I feel like that's almost going to be too late. I feel like I need to find, because it's going to go so, 3 years to do my project is going to go so fast. And if I already don't have a system, I feel like in place, and I know that that system will change over time, but I think if I don't have a way to start to manage that, but then my other thought, like and I'm going to put this in the chat too, so that if this comes back up again, like in any of our future meetings, is, how do I share the content from whatever tool that I use? And maybe it's that I use a tool like Tana, because I think Tana is more, I guess you can add more groups, I think, to Tana. But then Obsidian, to me, I'm still very curious about Obsidian because of the mind mapping component. But then how do I share that? Like, how do I get that? So like if it's information like for a project that I've got to share, and then I'm also nervous about, the like how, if I'm used, because I'm going to use AI as part of my project to help me think, like how do I make sure I'm not like plagiarizing content? Like there's so many questions that I have about all of this. Like, so I feel like if I document my process along the way, then if there's ever any questions, like I can go back to it. So that's kind of a lot, and we definitely don't have to unpack that now, because I'm curious. But I just wanted to kind of, as I was thinking, kind of put that out there, and something we can definitely circle back to later.
A lot. It made me think of, when you said that, it made me think about the where we're at as where we're at with all this stuff, is that we're kind of a select group of people that we all recognize this extremely high value of using digital tools for thought. In the type of world we live in, that's, you know, we could just go bullet journals, but we're not gonna get our knowledge to each other that way in a way that shares across. And you're trying to figure out, how do I share some of these tools with students? And it's like, I love the Spark, Remark, Relate. The one that the first time I ever saw that was Nick Milo doing doing an example of that process on Gall's Law. And he started with actually, I'm gonna I'll do two things at once here. I'll go ahead and share my space. But I saw him do this live, and it's when I realized I need to do what that is. But I won't go too far into it, but let's see. I need a new Gall's Law that I haven't already drawn, but Gall's Law 2. And I have a tag I call a knowledge article. That's what KA stands for in my space. But the Gall's Law, you can find it in Wikipedia, but I have a lookup for it, and I have this. My super tag for knowledge article is actually built off of Nick Milo's process of Spark, Remark, Relate in the different fields that are below it, but it's AI integrated. So I'm going to see here if it can get that with the typo in it. I bet it does, but I have a AI command on this one field called AI lookup for the concept. And so there's a prompt underneath it. You don't need to know what it is. But if I run this command, I'm doing two things at once here because I want to talk about Gall's Law, but I also wanted to get into another platform. Okay, so it got past my typo to write this article here about what Gall's Law is. So we can come back into here, but at the end of it, he talked through this. I think it was at the first Second Brain Summit that was online only. And there are these questions at the end. Compare this to something, metaphor, analogy. My experience with this topic is blank. Why this is interesting to me because that's a big part of the Spark, Mark, Relate. The Spark is using the word because and then extending off of it. Then there was critique. It makes me think about, it's good because this, it's bad because this, it's similar to. So there are all these things making you relate to it. But then the one I liked the best was at the end, the one-liner. How can this topic be said most forcefully? And for Gall's Law, what he wrote down was structure must be earned. And structure must be earned. I was like, that is beautiful. It was like, and so I've used that. I have used that constantly. It's like, and especially for knowledge workers, it is such a valuable thing. Like when that's what short story made long. This is what I wanted to say about your students is that there is no reason to give incredibly complex tools to people who don't need the structure yet, or they don't need you could also say complexity must be earned, right? And so I guess the thing is, it's like, as we're getting all these tools that make us drink out of the fire hose and have all this amazing stuff, if they don't meet us where we're at the moment, they're either going to make us confused, frustrated, embarrassed, or overwhelmed and all these types of things. So it's like, I keep thinking, as we have all this stuff, as we have AI that can spit out, thousands of words off of just a couple, how do we get it to meet or and match to us? It's like, I want the AI platform that's going to say where I'm going to say, it prompts me is what are you working on right now? Where's your head at? How much time do you have between you and your goal? And what modality do you want me to answer you in? Like, it's like, let's get it matched to me as the user to how I want it to talk to me. It's like some evenings by 8 p.m. it's like, explain this to me like I'm 5. Only talk back to me in language that a 5-year-old can understand because my brain is fried. I'm not gonna get anything else. But Denise, I don't know if that that rambling is helpful, but I just thought of like trying to dump like Tana super tag commands on a student who's never even seen OneNote yet, and it's like this is completely unfair, and it's like one of the natural challenges that we have.
No, that's perfect. I need that like thought because, and really I'm dealing with students that come from a very like rural background, and so they're already behind academically even though they are in college, and so it's it's like, how do I meet them where they're at? And then they're also having to process all this information, and so I'm just very curious. I think that's a great perspective. So I think Krista, do you have a comment?
Yeah, Krista had something too. Yeah.
I do. I wanted to comment on that. As I am neurodivergent, and as a gardener, I've consistently always tried to build my structure first, like an architect, thinking that that was going to somehow magically fix things. And I really had to back out of that and understand that I needed to work from the bottom up, being a divergent thinker, like embracing that. So that's also what I liked about this note making mastery, is that how he has us like roll up ideas and go from the bottom up is really nice. And I really fought that idea of wanting to create folders and structure so I could find things, when that's really just not how our brains work. So that's why I said I've been really enjoying Obsidian, actually, and not finding barriers that I would typically find the moment I start some sort of planner or system. And also just with those students, I mean, I agree with Rodney, like using like the free and simplest tool as possible, but you want to scaffold them and give them the tools in order to have them be able to critically think and build their note-making systems this way. So I commend you on that. Free and simple is not always the best accommodation for many of us, but I think that for a lot of us in neurodiversity, and what's good for us is also good for the neurotypical. It's so important to try to not force something on someone. It just never goes well, and they burn out, they bore out, all of that kind of stuff. So I did drop a link in, as far as you said, your actual own research project, because I've been thinking about this myself. And I dropped a link for internal family systems, because I recognize that there's this beautiful linked resource. I've learned so much in this one therapeutic modality, and it's built on Obsidian. And I got really excited when I saw that, because that is how I would essentially want my work to look, and you can put it out to the public. I think there's a cost to do it, but to have your work, have a finished work like that, that's still a working document, basically, it just is super cool for me. So I loved that one of my favorite tools that just links me through a bunch of different stuff. I'm essentially building that for my own notes and hopefully building it for my future research.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else have any thoughts on that, or on Denise's original query?
Yeah, with Denise, I don't know if you're doing the note making mastery, but with everything that you're considering, one of the things that'll be really helpful is the effort note, to collect all your thoughts and considerations and start to build something out of it. So it'll help you take you from where you are to help build your thinking over time. I found it super helpful.
Yep, thank you. And then, does anyone know how long we have access to that course? Because I know it actually ran for 22 days, I guess, live. But what's the time limit that we have access to that? Does anyone
You have access to it indefinitely.
Okay.
But the areas that we use to communicate with all the students, those will shut down. But the notes that people leave in the lesson, like every lesson you can leave comments, those comments and the ability to comment will stay live.
Okay.
Rodney, I know that he said that we can't put in anymore into like the beachside chats or
Mhm.
those areas.
After
But are
Monday,
they
yeah.
still going to stay there? I thought they were.
Yeah, it's going to get archived, but it'll still be there as far as I understand. I'll
we
take a
can
look
see
at
it.
the. Yeah, I can review the offboarding document to see what it but I'm pretty sure it was staying there, just you can't add to it.
Okay. Thanks.
So if you want to add stuff and you want people to be able to respond to you, add it in the lesson and not in the beachside chats and all that stuff. Yeah.
Clever.
And you can even tag people there too. So if you ever want anybody like from this group to respond, tag us. Because when I had a question and I wanted it to be in the lesson because I thought it would be useful for the lesson, I tagged Nick and Keaton and Layla to get their response in it. So and they responded.
Yeah, we should use that. That's a good trick.
Yeah. So that way we could all keep going through it together, those of us who are still going through it, and tag each other.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to make use of that. Hey, Fatima, I'm glad you were able to make it on the call. I think that's the reason we make it 2 hours, because we know everyone's schedules are varied. So glad you're able to make it.
Hello. So I am only like beginning in note making mastery right now. I don't really have any questions. I have been tinkering with Tana in the meantime. I've watched all those YouTube videos that you recommended, and my only thing is, if possible, I don't know if you'll be able to accommodate it in this session, but what you all have been doing for the Second Brain Summit in Tana together, the one thing I couldn't understand was that in my workspace in Tana, for the Tana code experiment, how do I copy the different topics over to my space so that I can write my thoughts underneath?
Oh, for this, I am going to duck out and let Fistfraga answer the question and put him on the spot. He hasn't talked much today.
Yeah, absolutely. So in Tana, you have access
You want
to
to share?
spaces?
You want to share a screen with the workspace open?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I'm gonna share it here. So you can access both workspaces from your Tana. And then if you copy and paste a reference to one node specifically into your personal workspace, then you can basically add comments to it and have it link back. And so I'm going to show basically two different ways to do this. Let me share my screen here. I might have to ask permission as well, or maybe it's already good to go.
I should see a pop up. Nope, you're good. Yep.
Perfect. So this is my today personal workspace on the left. I have been taking notes on a couple of things you guys mentioned here in the Tana Code session 3.
Why don't you hit the workspace tab on the left just so they see where that menu is? There's the
what do you mean exactly?
Like the selector or the home and on the sidebar.
Sidebar?
Like on the sidebar, there's the workspace menu.
Like this, yeah, sure,
yeah. So that's what you have, two of them selected with two windows open at the same time. That's all.
Yeah, so both are here. Now inside this specifically, I'm going to today. And then what you can do from the right is to copy a node from our Tana code experiment. So if I go into nodes, let's see, and it's taking a slightly more time because I'm using hotspot from my phone, but we should be able to see this. So let's find topics here.
Copy out of mine if you want to just go to my my porcupine, my woodland creature. However you want to do it.
So if I get this topic for artificial intelligence and I copy this reference, I can paste it into this workspace. And now, like, for everyone who does not have access to my personal workspace, which is everyone, this will show up as like a little gray icon that cannot be seen here in this referenced in. So each of us can copy this node and see it in our personal workspaces, and then people will not be able to access your notes from your personal workspace because it's they cannot access that. So here you could on the left now, if you tab into this, you could add notes here. And then you should still be able to come over here and see your notes related to artificial intelligence. But it's hard to keep track in the sense of, let's say, having a way to see all of your notes about this topic. You would have to come over here into this specific node on the right, click on it, because once you click on it and it's loading here, you're going to see the page for this specific super tag and object with the fields for topic. And then here you will see notes in this workspace. And then on the bottom, you will see references. And then here you will see references from other workspaces, including yours. So you would need to come back to our shared workspace, click on a topic, and then scroll down to see other mentions here. And then in this case, it's here. Here are my notes, right, from my personal workspace. So you wouldn't have a way to kind of keep track inside your personal workspace of all of these notes. So you might duplicate these topics so that you have your own database if you want to keep track of your own topics instead of using the same topics list from our shared workspace. And then you can basically use both if you really want to keep track of something that's related to both your personal ideas and also our shared ideas and concepts we've been talking about. So I think that covers
Does that get your question, Fatima?
What do you think, Fatima?
Yes. Definitely helps. Thank you so much. Just the last point. If I want to keep track of a certain topic which relates both to my personal knowledge and this workspace, you're saying that what should I do?
Sure. I'm going to give you an example here. So I have a topic super tag in my personal workspace, which I'm going to add here to illustrate. Now, I already have a topic with this name, but this means now I have the fields in my personal workspace here. And so here, for example, I could copy, let's say, this reference on the right for artificial intelligence and paste it here, for example. So now whenever I open up my notes about artificial intelligence in my personal workspace, I know this is related to the same topic on our shared workspace. And I can even add I think I could add a field.
Let me add
here.
in on that. When you see that node at the bottom that has the dashed line around it, that means that it's an outward link that the real data is somewhere else. So it's a link to another location. It isn't the actual live copy, but you can modify that live copy from that location. And it's interesting with Tana, with all the power also comes some a little bit of a challenge because it's almost like having a blank Excel spreadsheet. You can do anything with it, but when you start doing things, you have to set up rules of the road of what section is my data storage, what section is my search like reports that I'm querying, or am I just going to let them mix? So that's part of what can spin out quickly if without some structure, and that's what like people like Fis who are Tana ambassadors try to set up templates and structures that people don't have to necessarily build that all from scratch if they don't want to. but it's all the tools are there if you want to. And if you take someone's course and they give you, if they give you templates, you can start tweaking those to match what you want it to do, starting with their example and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I was trying to create a field here in the meantime, but I don't think this is very easy to work with. So I wouldn't recommend trying to connect both using a field for now. But you can have it a reference here on the bottom, and this way you can use the topic in your personal workspace and reference to this. And then if you want, you can quickly access the shared topic by clicking this link and then copying your ideas over or something like that. So you can
Thank you
click
so
here.
much. Thank you.
You got it. So what should
Does
we do
anyone?
next?
Well, I was going to say, because with the time we have remaining, we have 10 minutes left in our structured time, but we can do extra time for anyone who wants it. Does anyone else have a thought on the Spark Remark Relate, that we might try something on someone else's screen, maybe someone who hasn't shared? If not, we can keep going with that. Any
We
thoughts
might
from anybody?
actually try that with what we've all discussed today.
Okay. Yeah. You have you want to take the conch, Rodney, and show
Sure,
something,
sure.
or?
So here's how I would do it, because there's a whole lot of stuff that's discussed. So you want to find out what your sparks are. It might be hard to remember everything we've discussed. So I made a list.
Well, I'll have the transcript when we're done, and I'm going to run it through some prompts.
Yeah.
But I don't have it yet.
So I made a list. I just put it in the chat of topics that we talked about. So one of the things you want to do is for Spark, Remark, Relate, you think what sparked you. And you probably already wrote down something that sparked you, right? But because there's all this discussion, you probably didn't have a chance to remark on it. You might or might not have. So choose something, open up a note, or you can just put it, wherever your notes are and just hit return a couple times.
Why don't you share your screen? You want to do that?
Sure.
Like,
sure, I'll
lead
do
it.
it. Yeah, I'll show you guys how I'm doing it.
Ask him questions and poke him with the stick if you want to hear something different from him too.
Got it. Poke me with the stick.
Yeah, poke him with the stick.
So here it is. So I wrote down a bunch of the topics, and just so that we would have that to be able to say what sparked me. And then you're going to choose
what are we in
something.
right now? What platform are we in?
Oh, this is Evernote. This is just a
You're
note.
in Evernote. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
And so everything we're talking about in this meeting, I've just put it in one note, and some of the stuff is going to be broken into other notes later.
Yeah.
So I've even taken screenshots.
Oh, you got
from
some
what
screenshots. Look at you.
Yeah. So, but that stuff doesn't matter as much. So I'm just gonna, for this, what we're talking about. So look at this stuff. We're gonna do the following steps. Find something that sparked you. Then we're gonna make remarks on it. Just use the really simple one, which is like, this is interesting because. And then figure out what is it related to that you already know. And so I'll show you guys how I would do it. So I would take it, for example, even though I had heard about the 3 levels prompt, that's something that really sparked me. I'm just going to call it 3 levels prompt. So that's one idea that really sparked me. And I'm like, okay, this is important because.
There's the because word. That's how you extend the spark, right?
Exactly. And so I'm going to say, oh, it's important because it helps extend my own thinking, expand on thoughts and strategies I've gained from others. And so that's just how I'd start. And I might keep writing, for a little while there. And then I would, after that, I'd say, okay, what's this related to? And I might say, oh, 3 levels prompts related to, models I've gained from Right with AI, which is a newsletter that I read that has prompts for AI. reminds me of the ask for multiple examples prompt. Use with AI, where you ask for multiple examples. So you just come up with multiple things that it relates to, reminds to you. You can add the links, like if you know what the links are, you can go ahead and start searching for the links, but just add like 2 things that it reminds
At
you of
least
that,
two.
that it's related to. And then you're good. And of course, you can always take it further. So before we take some time to do that, does anyone have any questions?
So
All
the
right.
Spark was the 3-level prompt, because you're
Exactly,
saying
like
that's the thing I thought about. And then the Remark is this is important because, right?
exactly.
And then the
exactly.
relate is other things that you're thinking about that it has some connection to,
Exactly.
that
And they can
you've
be
already thought about.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
All
What's
right.
cool is that everything there is you. Everything there is you. It isn't AI, it isn't tech, it isn't tags, it isn't any special tech. This could be done on paper. It's could be done on any platform, and it's just literal. It's literally just text.
Exactly. Yep.
And so
You got it.
before any other technology or tool starts getting muddled or mixed up in it, it starts with something that's already core and is completely in your mind before any other stuff might drown it out.
Exactly. Yep. You got it.
Cool.
And as far as the related items go, Rodney, at least the way that my mind works, that I find myself relating the Remark a lot to newer concepts that I haven't necessarily noted or documented before. If that makes sense. So you're obviously you're very good because you're linking it to notes or content that you know already exists in your second brain. I find a lot of times I make associations with concepts or ideas that I sort of know of, but are not necessarily in my second brain yet. I'm just curious, does that happen to you too, or do you really try and limit the sort of the outlinking, so to speak, to existing second brain content?
Well, it's hard for me to link to something I don't know. So, but you must have some awareness of those concepts, maybe not deep knowledge.
Exactly. What I mean is you know about it, but you haven't documented it yet in your second brain.
That'll happen sometimes. And later in the course, he talks about what to do about that. Like you'll make a little note that's empty with just the name of a concept, and I do that some of the time. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I've never written about this concept before, and I know about it, and so I'll make a little note for it. And sometimes what I do here is I'll actually like, you know, in Evernote, if you hit the @ symbol, you can start searching for notes, and I'll actually link to the thing, or I'll hit
Fatima
command.
puts in the chat. She says he called it a placeholder.
Exactly, a
ring a
placeholder
bell?
note. Exactly. Yeah, or you can. There's other ways to search for the note to pull into Evernote, and but when I'm actually writing and doing Spark Remark Relate, I won't do that at first because that'll slow me down. So I just want to like get the stuff out, and then I'll add links later.
Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right. So you guys want to
So
try
where does it go next? Yeah. Where does it go next?
Where does it go next? I mean, wherever you put your notes that are just your general knowledge notes. So
I just meant like, no, where do you go next with this process? You did the Spark Remark Relate, and then what happens?
That might be it for the moment. Yeah. There's other things I can do with it, but this is just the starting point, is there. Because if we can talk about like there's 20 things you could do with it, but then that becomes too overwhelming. So first, if you just get into this practice, this last part where it's like what's it related to is so cool because you start to develop the habit of seeing the connections amongst your different ideas, the things that are interesting to you. And it really makes some of the other stuff way more powerful, like maps of content and things like that. But I don't worry about that yet. First, just get into this habit. This by itself is already like, if you're a student learning stuff, just getting into the habit of connecting, that means you're going to have so many more connections that's going to help you remember things. Because I remember when I was a student and there would be people someone would tell me about the class they were in. I was like, oh, it reminds me of this, reminds me of that. And they'd be like, no, it's a separate thing. And I'm like, yeah. And I didn't have knowledge, any, what's the word, terminology to say why I thought that was not a good idea to silo your knowledge that way. But now we can say the more hooks you have for information, the more likely you're going to remember it. So if you connect it to many more things, and somebody was talking about relational frame theory, but whenever you activate one concept in the network, it reminds you of the whole network. So you start building this stuff, it's really good for your memory.
Wow. Fatima, you had her hand up. Do you have something?
I was trying to just clap.
Oh,
yeah, that
you were
was the
just
clapping.
give the right on. Okay, all right.
All right, so I don't know if you guys did this while we were talking, but let's just do it for like 5 minutes and see how we go, and you guys can tell us what it's like.
All right, I'll try to load the Jeopardy music.
I'm gonna have to bail, guys. My family's just come home, so I need to spend some time with them.
Paul,
awesome.
glad we got to see you, man.
Yeah, look forward to next time. And check the photos out, and if there's any problems, I'll try and I don't know what else I can do.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'll try those right
okay.
after the call. That's awesome.
Okay, folks. Good seeing you again. Bye for now.
Good seeing you, Paul.
Okay, so we're all trying the Spark, Remark, Relate just from what we've talked about so far as a group exercise real quick.
Yeah, just pick one Spark.
Ready in chat when you're ready. You still need more time? Or how are we doing? Rodney, where do we go next?
Looks like we have some deep thinkers here who are still writing. So, what would be cool is if people can share kind of what it was like to do the Spark remark and relate. And it seems like some of us are still writing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I saw heads up, so I was.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Denise was ready. Fatima is ready. Denise or Fatima, you want to tell us what it was like to try that exercise?
Oh, because I started it, because I wasn't there in the rest of the meeting, so didn't have many ideas to think about right now. So I just picked up something I was thinking about yesterday from my personal family issues and elaborated upon them. It's very good though. I mean, I have been doing this in my head all along and losing those ideas.
Hmm.
So I actually wrote it down in Tana Capture because I'm on the phone.
Perfect.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Thank you. All right. Someone else? Maybe Denise?
Sure. So I kind of wrote about the effort maps. And like I wrote about kind of like my why of like, and then I started to kind of think about my next steps for doing that. So I think that was really a key thing. Cause I think I'm bad about like I don't even know where to start. And I think just starting with like what I need to start with, like kind of makes sense. And then to go from there.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. How about you, Frank?
Yeah, man, it's really good. Just kind of the process following it in terms of seeing kind of what's I love to compare it. It's like it's what's hidden in plain sight, right? Like I heard this once and it kind of sticks. And these processes really help to bring out like a deuce, right? As educators, we're reducing or pulling from within, from the others, and the sense of being able to fully express it. Yeah, really cool.
Awesome. What about you, Nikki? I noticed your video's on.
I know I was walking for the first hour and cooking breakfast for the second hour. And eating breakfast. I just wrote a note about the book, the notebook that you mentioned. Someone mentioned as just to remind myself that I want to go back and read it. And I just thought, oh, this could be helpful because it sounds like it reflects the way I like to learn and how I interact with information. And so how it can help expand that. And then I kind of related it to like, oh, if this might be something that's helpful for me, like to interact. And like Aaron was talking about the visual spatial type of thing as well. Then maybe like exploring mind mapping, which we also discussed today, would be something good for me to do. So I think even just doing this practice and like scribbling out some notes for like a minute is helping solidify like, oh, I need to remember to go back to this because oftentimes I'll just jump straight into the next thing and not always come back and review like, what did we actually discuss? This was a really valuable meeting today. So I'm really grateful.
Awesome. Fantastic. Very cool. How about you, Philippe?
Yeah, I thought this was super interesting because you can get a concept, a spark, right? Something that you learn and first connect it to a why, which is one of the most important things, which is to have a purpose and a meaning for that. And then to connect it and bring it into your practical life and relate it to things that you're working on or other concepts that you've learned. So then this gives you the opportunity to either connect this to other topics or connect this to practical things that you're working on. And it's super interesting. So my example, I got the 3 levels prompt as well, because I really liked seeing Frank expand on it on that example. So I was like, wow, it's super interesting, right? And this is actually powerful. So this is important. I had a clear reason for it. And then I'm like, wow, like I can connect this to several other concepts and topics I've been exploring and things in my methodologies and products. So it's super interesting, and it's so easy with 5 minutes, but like I already have several ideas on how to use this further.
Awesome. Cool. Very cool.
And this
How about you?
also reminded me, this is something that is super cool actually. It's kind of this 4-dimensional note where you're connecting this to where this came from, where can this be applied, what is this kind of connected or similar to, and what is this opposed to. So you have these 4 cardinal directions where you can connect this with a direction, right? It's not only a connection which is spread out or without a clear structure, it's actually a structured connection, right? So there's this nice video on YouTube, which I'm going to find here real quick, and I'll send here in the chat. It's with which is with Faye from the Tana team. So it's Faye being interviewed by this other girl, talking about this method, which is super interesting. So
Yeah, I think she
Make
did. She
sure
call
put
it
that
like
in the chat.
compass. Did she call it like compass notes or something like that? Because I think I've
so,
seen
yeah.
that.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Actually,
So that's a really good connection about what's it related to, because it's totally related to that.
Yes, exactly. Vicky
Awesome.
Zhao is the girl. So I'm gonna find the video and I'll share it here.
Yeah, I know I took notes on that a long time ago too, so I can find it. Krista, what did you get from the exercise?
I've been thinking about Florilegia, and what you like the book, The Notebook, the Thinking of Paper, or History of Thinking, and Florilegia were some of like those really early documents of like, quotes and biblical scholars, and then it becoming more of just like wisdom. And how much that what it got me thinking was, well, I could actually read read my note. What it got me thinking on was that I want to be able to export portions of my second brain to be a helpful resource for others. And I hope it'll work seamlessly so that I can share like parts of that to the appropriate people, but maintain my own whole second brain.
Awesome. Fantastic. Fantastic. And Aaron, were you involved? You were doing it too, right?
Well, yeah, I did, but the way my brain works, usually I have to go take a walk after these things, and then all my thoughts start showing up. But what I liked about the Spark, Remark, Relate was it's such low pressure. The way, and even more so, I needed the reminder when you talked through doing it, because I find myself like if I'm gonna think, I like, oh crap, I gotta write an essay. It's like no, you don't have to. You just, like you said, use the hook. Just put the hook down, save the hook. It's like, oh, I can just do this and it doesn't have to have a bunch of stuff in it. I don't have this pressure that it has to go deep yet. I can just set it up and then it's there to collect next time. So for me, I'm a shiny object addict, of course, especially when it comes to ideas and words. I would, if there was a show on etymology, I would geek out and watch that like every week. It's like, so someone had used the term, I think Chris did use the term modalities of thought. So I just wrote that down as my spark. I'm like, wait, I want that shiny thing, whatever that is. I don't have time to think about that right now. But modalities of thought, I wrote down that as my spark to like for a later lookup, a curiosity. I wrote down, it's interesting because I wonder if it's the same thing as mental models or if it's a category or a classification above. Like, is it the same thing? I'll go find out later. But if it's a different thing, I want to know, and I wanted to know the difference between that and what it means to just have mental models. And then I just wrote, it's related. It could be related to mental models. It could be related to thinking tools. But without that type of tool, I probably wouldn't write down that. I would just go, hey, look, a squirrel, and then I would never save that question. But then now if I save it as a knowledge article super tag called modalities of thought, what I have in my the main thing that Tana gave me, I'll pitch this to everyone, is that um it it forced me out of folder and it forced me out of folder mode into daily journal mode because of because it's built around the daily page, and it forced me to just start journaling. Like I put in the chat on the group the other day that I've been journaling, I just didn't know it. And because that's actually what this is, although I, like Luke was saying, I had to do it under my own terms. So under my daily node, I have a journaling section and a checklist of things I want to do, including my walk. But one of them is today's knowledge article. So when I do put down a curiosity, like if I save a tag called, like, so here's modalities of thought, what I just wrote. If I just type modalities of thought as a KA, and then I'll tab all that. I'll just dump that in there. I'm not going to do anything else with it, but now I have modalities of thought, and I have those. It's interesting because it's just there now, but on my daily page in my morning routine of my 1 hour, I get a random knowledge article. And so all those ones I'm like, hey, what is that? What is that? It'll appear back to me in my morning session as an empty. So I'll take today's I haven't done yet was I saw somebody posted about the Alexander technique. I'm like, oh, what is that? I want to know what that is. And that's when I run my process with the AI prompt to give me an abstract about it, and then I go down there too. But at the heart of all this stuff is having a curiosity engine that is using things like Spark, Remark, Relate from Nick Milo, but building them in some type of a rechurning process where the stuff will come back in front of me. And that's whatever platform people use to do it. That's where I fell in love with the daily morning start that includes some reflection and writing time. So if I didn't have something that would bring these back in front of me, it would only have like 20% of the value, because the fact that that I have a random reoccurrence to go do progressive summarization, that type of thing, means that I'll get to come back to that thing that I put a hook about. So long answer, but I'm loving I'm loving the Nick Milo's methodology. I really feel like it's timely what we need right now with the whole kind of spread of network thinking to build practices for people to have it grow and things like that. So super fun. And I also thank you, Rodney, because I just dumped facilitating on you, and you just did it. That was awesome. You just led us through the process.
Yeah,
Super
no
cool.
problem.
Thanks
No
everyone.
problem.
I'm gonna take off, but it was awesome. I think
Yeah.
really powerful. Kind of the ideas interchanging. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, this was really cool. Thanks for showing us so many cool things, Frank. That was awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 7 a.m. works great. I don't know if we change it to 3 p.m.
I know. I'm like, I don't know if I can do 3 to 5.
I can't. I know that.
Yeah,
Just-
like we said before, this is when my family's still waking up. So for me, this works fine. But I did make a promise, because we're going to do this every 2 weeks, and I think I can do that without burning out. If I try to do a weekly, I've already failed this year at something that was weekly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and 2 weeks feels like the magic interval that is constant enough to keep it in the attention sphere, but not so constant that I'm like dying. So I did make a promise to Luke, who was at the Tana Code Experiment, our live session. He's our one Australian member right now, that I was gonna try to find a time for him, for at least for a one-off, so that he gets in. So I might change the time of our next one that's 2 weeks out to try to accommodate him if he can make it. But then I still want to keep the normal. I want to keep the normal time at the 7 to 9 until or unless there's a grand consensus from everyone that we need to change it. So I'd welcome any thoughts on that from you all, because this group meeting is for you.
Aaron, I don't know if you are the only one who can do it, maybe, but it would be nice if you took a copy of the chat. I think it's kind of an export you can do as the host.
Yep.
And save it for us. Oh, that would be cool.
Actually, I just put the settings in where it is saving the chat in the recording. And I
Awesome.
will also include the transcript of the chat when I do the newsletter this week, because there was I kept on looking over and there was a bunch of gold over there. I'm like, I haven't gotten to read that stuff. I'm too busy talking. So it's almost like we got to have two meetings going here at the same time. So I am looking forward to jumping back to those things too. But any thoughts or closing thoughts from anybody about things moving forward? I think the holidays might get where people have a lot of things going on in the month of December. But Fis and I intend to just kind of keep doing this as long as people want to keep doing stuff. And if it's just us plus one person and we're just going to workshop stuff that people want to work on, we just didn't want the Second Brain Summit to end, and we were just like mad that it was over because it was only for 2 days. I was like, well, you know what? It's just not going to end. We're just going to keep a room open, and whoever has time that they want to show up, we want to hang out. And for those that can't make it, we'll send out the newsletter transcript so people can snack on it in their busy time. So that's our thought, and I just kind of want to open the floor before we close to what you all think and what you would like to have happen, because we're trying to do this for you.
I mean, I think this is great. I think I'm definitely willing to try to be flexible, to include the Australian in one of the chats, just because I think having that perspective too, that does bring an element of, I think, more to like diversity to the group. So I think that would be great. If we can all figure that out. So I mean, I'm willing to try to, do a one-off time if we can all get together and, meet his or her time frame. So
I promised Luke we would do at least one, and so even if it's a small gathering, he's got a lot of cool stuff that I want to at least get captured in the recording and then put out to everybody, because Luke is doing some really cool stuff.
Awesome.
Anybody else?
Just one. Oh, go ahead. Someone want to say something?
No, I just wanted to add that this is exactly the plan, to keep this going until next year and keep meeting twice a month, because it's a very awesome group of people who are super oriented towards the similar path, and we share the similar experience and background. So this is so cool to keep going, and we'll make the most to have more chats and have more depth to these. And as time goes by, like, this relationship gets even deeper, and we get to extrapolate and connect even further and with things that we've spoken and dealt with on the past. So this is a group experience and a group knowledge that keeps expanding in such beautiful ways. So it's just very nice to keep going with this.
Anybody else? Closing thoughts?
Yeah, just one closing thought. Spark, remark, relate. Set yourself a goal of how many times you're going to do that in the next few days. Because what makes it work is when it becomes a habit. And then one last thing, that what Fatima had said brought this to mind, and it didn't occur to me, but it's really brilliant. She was using Tana Capture to write down the note, and I was thinking, oh, you can do this audio too. Because when I do audio, I just freeform. I never actually follow that process. So I was just like, oh, if I'm walking, I could totally do Spark, Remark, Relate while I'm walking.
Well,
and I use voice memo, or voice notes.
I'll take this moment to do a shameless plug for Tana. When you do audio recording notes, it automatically transcribes to text, and you can even set up a super tag to structure it for you if you want to go to level 2 or 3.
And
oh, that's really cool.
And talking about shameless plugs, Rodney, you just gave me a brilliant idea to add the Spark Remark Relate voice note agent into my product, which I've actually talked about on the last session, right? Which is something I'm working on. And I'll share this with all of you here, because this is like a very nice tool of exploration for what we're doing. And yes, that's awesome, man. Like creating this structured, as Aaron said, super tag to extract your voice transcript and then go through the Spark, Remark, Relate with what you spoke, and even going further, right? Like using AI commands to connect to your efforts, your projects, and other things that you're working on. That's awesome.
Cool.
Get this.
All right. I feel like this
Cross-fertilization.
is, yeah, this is just like a 2.5 hour treasure chest. I love hanging out with you all. And so yeah, I'm gonna keep the schedule on for next, so it'll be December 7th will be the next gathering. If Luke wants to take that one as his gimme for Australia time session, I'll send out the invite for that. But then the next one after the 7th would be on the 21st. And so we'll just keep on rolling through. And you know, we don't expect everyone's going to make every one, but that's why we try to keep them out there, so that it's there for you if you feel like it. And if anybody has people you're staying in contact that were at the summit that that haven't been part of this, that if you stay in contact with anyone, please invite them, because this is meant to be open for it's meant to be open for anyone who was at the LA summit, and also meant to be exclusive to them, so that if we talk about any of the digital swag bag stuff, that we're not technically stealing any content out. It's stuff that's already available to all of us, which is why we're able to do this. So that's all I have. So I think that probably concludes our time, and super appreciate all of you, and look forward to meeting again in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Have a
Bye.
great weekend. Talk to y'all
Awesome.
soon. Okay.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey there. I'm gonna call you separately so that I don't goof this recording. It'll create extra editing if I talk now. I'm gonna end the
Yeah,
session here.
perfect.